Everyone, what's been here at the Battle Report? So we go to Game 4 of Southern Assault 2015, and my Bretonnians are up against yet another demon army. I'm not sure how I feel about that. In this tournament, all the games are the same in terms of scenario extra points. You can get up to 5 extra battle points for doing standard things, like getting a certain kind of unit, one with fortitude in your opponent's deployment zone for breaking their fortitude, killing their general, stuff like that. But sometimes the deployment changed per game. In this game, we have a meeting engagement deployment. And my opponent and I talked about it before the game and decided just to treat Bretonnians like every other army, meaning that if I rolled and had to deploy first, that I would still have a 5-6 chance of going first and not lose the virtue or the prayer blessing because of it. So I was really glad that's the way that he liked to play it, because to me that seems a little bit fair, because otherwise it sucks being Bretonnia with this deployment. Anyway, so I deployed first, and the way I deployed is like that. If you look at the very top, I've got 3 Grail Knights, unit of bowmen. I've got the Swift Stride banner unit. My opponent knows what this is. I told him, but they've got movement 9, and I've got a paladin in there that gives him the plus d6 on his first charge. Grail Reliquae, 2 units, or another unit in either realm. This one has my general and my BSB. Both have 1-up rerollable armor save. The general has always strikes first and heroic killing blow. Then I have a unit of Knights Errant with my prophetess. She's level 4 heavens. I do not have a scroll. I've got 5 Peg Knights, and then behind him more bowmen and a trebuchet. So after I deployed, then he got to deploy. So on the very top left, he's got a unit of Seekers. You can barely see him. And then he's got a Soul Grinder, and then a Chariot. Then he's got the Keeper of Secrets. And I don't remember what this guy had with his gifts. I just remember that it was going to be nasty. Like, uh-oh, don't get him in combat with my troops. He's got a big unit of Demonettes. In there, they've got a Herald of Slaanesh, BSB, level 1 Shadow with the Banner of Swiftness. Then he's got a Herald of Slaanesh on the Exalted Seeker Chariot, level 1 Shadow. And this one, it just, I don't remember what his gift is either, but this one's tricky because he can force you to get in a challenge, and he gets to decide who picks it. So that can be tough. I don't know a whole lot about the Exalted Seeker Chariot, except you don't want it to charge you. It does 2d6 plus 1 impact hits, and that could be rough. Anyway, and then he has a unit of Pink Horrors, and that's it. So, I'm sorry, there's 2 units of Pink Horrors. One is up on the top middle of this picture behind the Keeper of Secrets. So the good thing about this list is that it seems like he doesn't have a lot of threats. But the problem is, yeah, any kind of synergy whatsoever, and I'm going to be in trouble. Like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the Keeper of Secrets, except just try to magic him and trebuchet him, but, he's so fast, I probably can't avoid him getting in combat, and then I just don't have a lot of good options. So, he did not steal first turn, so Bretonnia went first, and the game got off to a good start. If you look at the top middle, or the long-reaching Knight of the Realm unit made the charge against the Soul Grinder. Now that thing is like toughness 5, or I think toughness 6. So even with all those knights hitting, it's really hard to do any wounds to the guy. But Bretonnia Knights are pretty resilient, so I'm going to be able to shrug off most of his attacks, I think. And then I'm hoping just to pop him through combat res. If I can, great. And if I can't, he's going to get a counter charge with a Chariot, and that could be kind of dicey. Other than that, I'm moving the Grail Reliquae up because I might need them to redirect the Demonettes. I'd kind of like to get them whittled down a little bit before we get in combat, and if nothing else, get a couple charges into them. I have to be really careful making sure I get the charge on the Exalted Chariot and not get charged by it, and the thing moves forever. So that's why my Knights are hanging back. Peg Knights, after vanguarding, were able to swoop around here to the right, so I'm out of line of sight of the Chariot. Pink Horrors can see me, but I don't care. Yeah, I thought, I was thinking the Peg Knights, I've got 2 options here. One, I don't mind them charging that Chariot, because then it'll just, if nothing else, it'll just hold it in place. I don't think that Chariot's going to beat the Peg Knights as long as I get the charge. And I may not be able to beat him, but if we just stick around, a Knight unit come help out in the future, I think that's all we need. The Pink Horrors are another good target I could charge. I'm just not as worried about them as I am the Chariot. There's a close-up picture. It's a great conversion with that Soul Grinder on that Arachnarok base. I'm actually pretty confident about this going into it. I mean, I've just got a lot of attacks. I get the Lance bonus on the charge, so there's that. And yeah, hopefully that'll work. Go to the magic phase, and I throw just 3 or 4 dice at a comet, and it goes off, and I miscast and blow up the Knight Errant unit. That's why she goes in with the Knights Errant, because this happens a lot, and I'd rather be that unit than one of my more powerful ones. So not sure how I feel about that, but I do like that comet sitting there. So my opponent has just to sit back and weather my trebuchet and my magic and stuff like that, or he's got to come sit on top of that comet. So I like that. Then we go to the shooting phase, and the and the trebuchet takes out his Keeper of Secrets. So yeah, right here I'm thinking, I think that's the game. I mean, I still really think my Knight's going to do well against that Soul Grinder. Keeper's gone. That's so huge. Not only did I not have a lot of good options against him, but now, he had multiple targets. He had the Soul Grinder, he had the Keeper of Secrets, he has the Exalted Chariot. Now, 2 of those 3 I don't have to worry about. And the Demonettes I don't really worry about. They just have a lot of attacks. There's a lot of bodies there, but, I'm not overly concerned about them. So, yeah. Then we go over here, and I don't think I may have done 1 wound to that guy, but you can see that I shrugged off what he did to me, and I think he did 2 wounds total, and he does not have leadership nearby because his general just died, and his leadership's bad enough. Instability killed him. I overrun into the Seekers, and I'm thinking, this has got to be the game. I think we get a 25-0, and we're probably going to go 4 rounds. Because, he can see me with that chariot, but I'm just not that worried about it. If he charges in, he does d6 plus 1 impact hits. So he could roll really low. I could make armor saves, ward saves. He'll have a charge and a flank. I'll have a charge, a banner, and at least probably 2 ranks. But more importantly, I'm going to get so many wounds against those Seekers that I'm just going to pop both these units to combat res, reform, and be in his flank. I don't think I could hope for a better scenario by the end of the top of turn 1. So we go to the bottom of turn 1. At the top of this picture, the chariot charges the flank of my knights. His demonettes just come racing at me. They're sitting right on top of that comet as if he doesn't care. And I'm thinking, demonettes just, they don't scare me that much. They're only strength 3, I think. Now, these guys, because the Herald have always strikes first, so they'll be rerolling to hit. But, especially with my magic, I can get harmonic convergence off, and there doesn't scare me a bit. So, yeah. There's that. I'm really not too concerned. Then the comet goes off. It kills a few demonettes, but it does 5 wounds to that Exalted Chariot. I think that thing is sitting on... I think it's sitting on just 1 wound left. Now, it hasn't hurt the Herald on top of it, but that chariot is now not long for this world. So, yeah, the luck's been Bretonnian's way this game. After combat, I can't... I'm like scratching my head, like, what happened? So, first off, he did 5 wounds to me, which I thought was a lot. A whole lot, and a lot of it wasn't necessarily impact hits. He just has a bunch of strength 4 attacks, but strength 4, and I was just rolling 1s and 2s for my armor saves. And then look at those Seekers. I did hardly any wounds to them. I was very disappointed with this unit's with what they did in this combat. It was so frustrating. I lost it. I was steadfast and stuck, thank goodness. But still, now I still think I should win this in the long run, because even just having the Paladin in there just gives me an advantage. I'm really tough to wound. So now I'm not going to reform being his flank, but I still think I've got this combat in the long run. So we go to the top of turn 2, Bretonnia goes, and I decide just to go ahead and take my general's unit right into the Demonettes. Why not? Move my Knights Errant to the right so they can threaten a flank charge of the Demonettes, or they can charge that chariot. Either way is fine. I actually mulled this over for a minute. I ended up deciding to charge the Peg Knights into the Pink Whores. And the gamble I'm taking here is I have to beat them and overrun. Because if I don't, if they stick, if there's one guy sticking there, then this Exalted Chariot's going to charge me, and he's going to kill all these Peg Knights. Alternatively, I could have charged the Chariot, but there was something about that I don't remember what it was. Something about that was like, ooh, I'm not... I mean, one, he could get in a challenge with my champion, so I'm not going to do any wounds this round of combat. But even in future rounds, you think I wouldn't be concerned about it. But there was something going on. Maybe it was the gift that the Herald had that made me think that it would not be a good idea to charge the Chariot. And there's that. Now, in hindsight, had I thought more about it, I should have, when I hit this unit, gone way over to the left and touched his BSB. I thought he was going to want to bring his BSB in combat, but he doesn't. He just wants to keep him alive so he can get always strikes first. By charging where I did, I can't force him to get in combat because if he just refuses the challenge and goes to the back and he doesn't get a reroll, but who cares? Yeah, in hindsight, I really wish I would have gone over there and got him. And then we go to, I don't know if this was shooting or magic, because I had Thunderbolt and I wasn't afraid to use it. But between the two of them, I got the last wound off the Chariot. So now he just has a Herald on foot. So now I'm not worried about the guy. And I've got Bowman over here just throwing arrows up in the air, threatening. So, yeah, I think this unit has like 16 or 17 shots. And it's, he can eventually hide from him, but it's kind of tough. So that's a big threat off the table. And after combat, yeah, did a bunch of wounds. Didn't take any in return, I don't think. And the Demonettes are cut in about half of their original size. Pretty soon and it'll take a couple of rounds of combat, but the Peg Knights will be coming over pretty soon, and then I certainly will get this unit no matter what. And we do, at this point, it doesn't matter. I'm not worried about the Herald charging my guys that much, but we do beat the Pink Horrors overrun, and I don't think I can charge anything this next turn, but they're in a good position. They can fly around, be where I need them, and come help out. And over here, I do 0 wounds in combat, and he did at least 1. I don't know when my Paladin picked up the 1 wound that he has, but these guys are just frustrating me. Oh my gosh. Alright, so we go to bottom of 2. Demon's turn 2. His 1 unit of Pink Horrors charges my Grill Reliquary. I was just fine with that. You know what? The Reliquary's stubborn 10 rerollable. They can hold that thing in place the rest of the game, and I can come over with Knights whenever I feel it's necessary. Look at the the right middle. His Herald just kind of goes over to the building. Yeah, so there's that charge. We go to the shooting phase, or the magic phase, and the stupid Reign of Chaos happens. And I don't know what it was, but basically my Grail Knights had to take some kind of test, and they failed it, and 3 Grail Knights died. So on my next turn, they were going to countercharge that Chariot and add combat res and some wounds and try to save the day over here, and the Reign of Chaos steps in and removes the Grail Knights off the table. Then we go to the magic phase, and he gets Occam's Mind Razor off. I didn't even think that he had it. I wasn't paying attention, really. It wouldn't have changed anything if I did. But it was such a nasty surprise. The Herald that was on the Chariot, who's over on foot hiding by the building, he's got Occam's. Level 1, still, throws 6 dice at it. Miscast does nothing. And now I'm in trouble. Now that's not good. And the BSB's alive, of course, so he's given that unit always strikes first. So I've got the -1 leadership, -1 to hit on him. But when you get to reroll to hit, that really mitigates that a lot. So this game just got interesting. Especially when my Knights suck and they can't do anything. And yeah, he beats them and then runs them down, and that's a whole Knight of the Realm unit with a Paladin. This has been a bad turn. It's been a really bad turn for the Bretonnians. I lost the Grail Knights, lost the Knights of the Realm, lost the Paladin, and my opponent got Occam's up. After combat, I think this time we did get into a challenge with my general and his VSB. He of course is ignoring my armor save. He does 2 wounds to my general survives. I kill his BSB. So now his guys next round of combat won't get rerolls to hit, but they're still going to have strength really high. They only do 1 wound to my BSB. He threw every attack that he could at the BSB and it only did 1 wound. And that's with rerolling to hit. So he got very, very unlucky there. The thing is, I don't think it matters. The thing is, it's just going to take 1 more round of combat, and my general and BSB are going to die anyway. and there's nothing I can do about it. Luckily, he killed the champion, and he did like 7 wounds on the champion. Whatever he did. He did a bunch of wounds on the champion, but it doesn't matter. He wasn't able to touch the rank and file, so that really helped out. So everything this turn went his way, with the exception of this combat. He really should have killed both my characters, and he didn't, so that was nice. And over here, he wins combat. We stick. I take that back, by the way. I didn't kill his BSB. I did 1 wound to his BSB. That's right, he's still alive. So that means they still get the reroll to hit, which is just yuck. So we get a Bretonnian turn 3. I decide not to charge the Knights Errant in, because they were just going to get slaughtered. Not slaughtered, but, you know, it just would have given my opponent a couple more attacks at really high strength. So they're just going to wait around for a little bit, bring the Peg Knights up on the hill so they can charge whatever they need to next time. And then after combat, yeah, General's dead, BSB's dead, only lost a couple Knights, and, you know, the Demonettes are still taking a beating. I mean, the unit's really not a threat as long as they don't have Occams up. So I think for the most part we weathered that about as well as we could expect, and I still think we're going to have this unit eventually. Alright, so we get a Demon's turn 3. Really not a whole lot movement for him to do. He's got 2 units locked in combat. He's got a Herald who's hiding, and then if you look at the left, his Seekers and his Chariot, which are just invincible, charge my Bowmen. That doesn't, I mean, they'll beat the Bowmen. That won't be too tough. This is way over here on the right. I'm not sure why I'm showing it. Yeah, except for it might be showing that his Herald died. I don't know. Yeah, his Herald died at some point. I don't know if I was able to shoot him or if the Rain of Chaos killed him or something weird happened. I don't know, but he's dead, which is nice because now I don't have to worry about Occams anymore. Yeah, Peasants die. We go to Bretonnian turn 4. Peg Knights. Oh yeah, my Grow Reliquae lost combat. It was Stubborn 8, but no, you know, not Stubborn 10 because there's no General and no reroll because there's no BSB. So they fail their Stubborn 8 and get run down. It'd be nice if they could outrun somebody. So Peg Knights charge in. I think they're going to make short work of those. And again, I'm not really worried about the Demonettes anymore. So overall, I'm still confident. I think the beginning of my turn, his Herald must have still been alive because I pulled my Prophetess out of the unit so she could shoot at him, the Thunderbolt. So after combat, it looks like this. I reform my 1 big unit going facing north so I can go up to the deployment zone and get that extra point. Now, I didn't really think about it if deployment zone meant anywhere in his half of the table or if it meant in the normal 12-inch deployment zone, and I decided I had plenty of time. I'd just go to the 12-inch just to make sure I had it. So Demon turn 4, he brings his Chariot and his Seekers around just so we can get some points where he can. The Chariot can't really avoid my Peg Knights, so he just brought him up and said, bring it. Then the Rain of Bullshit table goes, the Rain of Chaos goes off and kills some Peg Knights, of course. Forced to panic, but luckily they passed because I was going to throw a model across the room if they failed that. Good Bretonnian turn 5. The if you remember, I'm going to go up 1. So I've got 3 Peg Knights, but one of them is down a wound. So I charge him, charge out of the woods. I fail of dangerous terrain. I'm down to 2 Peg Knights, of course. Yeah. So there's that. I'm just assuming I'm going to win this easily. Yeah, I lobbed a rock on these guys and it scattered off. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Go back. I cast Wind Blast at these guys and it pushed them back. Now that's not going to affect anything because it's still an easy charge to the Trebuchet, but it did force them to take D6 Strength 4 hits, and of course it did 0 wounds to them. But I was thinking, you know, if it could, that actually could do some damage that might save the day. And then my Peg Knights do 0 wounds to this guy. It takes no more wounds than it had, and it's just sitting there. Demons turn 5. Nothing of significant happens except that after the combat, the Chariot's dead. His Seekers charge my Trebuchet and easily beat it. And then we go to Bretonnian. The Bretonnian turn, there's nothing else to do because the Seekers aren't even at the table, and then the Seekers come in on his turn, and there's nothing for them to do, so we all just sit there. So that was the game. I couldn't believe it. This game ended up being, I mean, it was a win for me, and I just don't remember many points I got out of it, but I mean, I got all the extra points, which is what really helps you in this. I got the 5 extra points. But if you look at it, I mean, I lost a big unit of knights. I lost 3 of my 4 characters. Lost trebuchet, archers. It was rough. It ended up being rough. I thought at the end of top of 1, I thought it was just going to be just a cakewalk, and ended up being a really tight game. Kudos to my opponent for not giving up. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching the video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. As you know, YouTube has a variety of functions you can use to interact with videos such as this. You can like or comment on the video, you can favorite it, you can share it, and of course you can subscribe to the channel. And I encourage you to do any or all of those things as a way of interacting between viewer and producer. As always, I appreciate your patronage on the channel and wish you all the best.